Hi, and welcome to another episode on the Craig and Dave channel, where we dive into the digital deep end and come up with pearls of wisdom on all things tech and education. I'm David Morgan, and today we're talking about a topic that has gamers around the world sitting on the edge of their ergonomic RGB emblazoned gaming chairs. Are the console wars finally over? Now, if you're someone who spent the better part of your pocket money or the cash from your part-time jobs on a console, you know the console wars are serious business. From the days of Sega versus Nintendo to the more recent Xbox versus PlayStation sagas, it's been a tale of fierce competition, exclusive titles and fan loyalty that could rival the dedications of sport fans. Heck, even I remember having intense debates with my friends over whether Sega really did what Nintendo don't. But there's a plot twist unfolding, and it could change the game. Pun totally intended. Microsoft just dropped a bombshell. They're releasing games on platforms that aren't the Xbox. Cue collective gasps from the gaming community. Now this is big because traditionally, Microsoft's been like that one friend who doesn't share their sweets. They love their exclusivity, but it seems they're now willing to pass the controller around. So what's the deal with this strategy shift? It's like suddenly Microsoft is looking at the gaming landscape and realizing that maybe, just maybe, it's not about the console you play on, but the games you play. And this has huge implications for Xbox Game Pass. We might see a future where it's less about owning an Xbox and more about having access to a library of games you can play on multiple devices. Now let's talk exclusives. Exclusives. The golden children of the console wars. These are the games that have traditionally decided the fate of many console battles, but Microsoft's Phil Spencer is hinting that exclusive games might become a rare species in the gaming ecosystem. What does that mean for us gamers? It means that the lines in the sand are getting blurry, and the console you choose might not limit the worlds that you can dive into. We might not need to back a particular console to the hilt, because the console itself may not really matter. The whole thing is starting to look a bit like the streaming TV model, right? You've got Netflix, iPlayer, Amazon Prime. They all have shows you can watch no matter what TV or device you have, as long as you've got a subscription. Could gaming be headed in that same direction? There are definitely more pros and cons to this. On one hand, more access. On the other, what happens to the thrill of exclusivity? Now, Sony's in the mix too. They're playing it cool, but have also hinted at putting more PlayStation games onto other platforms. And Nintendo? Well, they're just happily sitting in their own corner of the sandbox, doing their own thing. And honestly, it seems to be working out for them just fine. As we look to the future, we've got to ask, are dedicated gaming consoles going to be a thing of the past? Will we see new gaming hardware that changes the way we play? Xbox's Sarah Bond teases new hardware with the largest technical leap. Could this be a direct challenge to Nintendo and PlayStation's success? Only time will tell. Now let's talk business, because at the end of the day, it's all about that cold, hard cash. Xbox hasn't been selling as many consoles as their competitors. Could opening up their gaming treasure chest to other platforms be a way to rake in more dough? It's not just about selling consoles, it's about reaching gamers wherever they are. And in 2024, that's everywhere. And let's be honest, there are many more people with mobile phones than with games consoles. Tapping into that market could be ideal. The industry is buzzing, from analytics to execs to the gamers themselves. The announcement has stirred up more questions than answers. But the general consensus? Xbox isn't going anywhere for the short term. So what have we learned today? The console wars as we know them might be changing. It's not about the piece of hardware under your TV anymore, it's about the games and how we access them. The gaming giants are adapting to a new generation of gamers who don't really care about the name on their console, they just want to play their favourite games. Are the console wars over? Well, maybe, but not entirely, and they're definitely evolving. The battlefields are changing, and we might just be headed towards a world where gaming is more inclusive and accessible than ever before. To summarise, Microsoft is shaking up the gaming industry by releasing Xbox games on other platforms, signalling a potential end to the traditional console wars and a shift towards a more inclusive gaming ecosystem. The strategy mirrors the streaming TV service model, where access to content across various devices is prioritised over hardware exclusivity, hinting at a future where the console you own might not limit the games you play. While Sony is also considering a similar approach and Nintendo remains with its own strategy, the industry is buzzing about what this means for the future of gaming hardware and the relevance of dedicated consoles. With this evolution, the focus is increasingly on reaching gamers wherever they are and leveraging subscription services like Xbox Game Pass and adapting to a market where gamers prioritise accessibility and game availability. And that's a wrap for today's Tech Talk. Whether you're a Team Xbox, PlayStation or Nintendo player, it looks like the future of gaming is going to be one heck of a ride. Keep those controllers charged and your minds open, because the game is definitely changing. Catch you next time on the Craig and Dave channel, where we'll continue to unpack the digital universe one bite at a time. Game on, folks. And remember, SNES for life, yo!